Today, JR in the comments pointed out that my last video was somewhat repetitive. In fact, he said 50% of it was repetitive. And I wrote back to JR and I said, I appreciate the comment, but I need to point out that according to my last research, that 1.1% of the world's population is considered wealthy. I guess the other 98.9% are not. Well, yeah, but that's the world's population. Well, JR, the same statistic is there for the U.S. 1% of the population is considered wealthy. So if I repeat myself, it's because I'm trying to change the world's population, JR. 99% aren't getting the message. It's the same reason why you go to church and your preacher or your priest or your rabbi keeps repeating the same message because you aren't listening and you aren't getting the message. So with that in mind, I'm going to continue to be repetitive and I'm going to continue to pursue my endeavor of writing my book, The Wave, The Coming Wave, which I've stolen part of the title from, what is his name? I have difficulty with his name. It is Mostaf Soliman. He is one of the founders of DeepMind's, Google's progressive AI program out of London. And I've changed the title a bit of how to invest in the coming wave of AI, because I think it's important that we understand why this is going to happen. And I asked myself the question, has it happened before? And so I went back 20 years, and I've done this before, and I said, are there any companies that were as a result of the digital revolution that grew exponentially as a result of this massive change in our means of communication called the internet? And of course there are. There's Apple, there's Google, and there's Microsoft and Amazon. So I said, okay, and they gave us an average rate of return from 2004 through 2024 of roughly some 35%. And so if you had invested in them, and JR, this is going to be repetitive, so you might want to check out now. So if you had invested in them, you would have had substantial gains. In fact, if you'd invested in the five I had identified for the Roth IRA, you'd have over $4 million in non-taxable income. So I said, okay, what about the preceding revolution, the Industrial Revolution? Did any 3, 4, 5 stocks get comparable returns to Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta over the preceding 20 years as a result of the Industrial Revolution and the ending of the war and the introduction of the automobile and the use of gas and this sort of. So I picked out 3 stocks, basically Ford, Exxon, and Procter & Gamble, and said, okay, if over the past 20 years I had invested in them in that wave, would I have achieved comparable returns to what I would have received as a part of the digital revolution? And I'll show you exactly what came out. Okay, here's the study I did, and as you can see, I traced Exxon, Ford, and P&G from 1984 through 2004. So it's the 20 years preceding the digital revolution, which I did with Apple, Google, and Amazon. And as you can see, I put in their price. ExxonMobil's price in January, or the close of 1984, was $1.56. It had grown 20% in the preceding year. So if I put $1,500 in, I would have made $305.70. So my $1,500 turned into $1,805. And I did the same thing for Ford, which was 65 cents. Again, these are prices that are adjusted for splits. And Procter & Gamble was $1.40. And so I then entered their rate of return each year, and it was interesting to me from what I see here that Exxon only had well, I guess there's two negative years. I didn't pick up on that second one in the whole 20 years. Ford, on the other hand, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negative years, and P&G only had one. I don't think I missed any others, but their rate of return for the 20 years was 16% on Exxon, on Ford was 19, and on P&G it was 18%. So if I had put $1,500 into each of these companies each year, I would have ended up with $107,000, $107,632. So let's call that the Industrial Revolution, the end of the war, my father's investment opportunity. My investment opportunity, as I said, it came in 2004 with the digital revolution. And so I brought it down to three stocks. It's Apple, Google, Amazon. And I said, okay, what was their rate of return on my $1,500 investment? And what would I have ended up with? Well, you can see it's substantially different, and it's going to show you it's supported very heavily by two of the three stocks. Apple got an average rate of return of 49%. Google, less than half, about half, 24%, and Amazon 35%. More down years than the others, but my similar investment of $1,500 into each one over 20 years turned into $3,749. That gives you some representation to compare apples to apples. It's times to time. And again, I think you've got to consider that there's more money in the market in this era than there was in the past, the Industrial Revolution, but also recognize there's more money now in 2024 going forward than there was in 2004 going forward. So I believe, and I believe that if we sit down in 2044, this number of four stocks representation will be bigger than 3,700,000 and call it $50,000. That just kind of points out that the Industrial Revolution did not give us the results that the digital revolution did. And why might that be? Well, I think the biggest reason is the amount of money that is in the stock market now, today, as opposed to 40 years ago. I think that's the big explanation. So with that in mind, I said then, okay, is it realistic to believe that we can pick some stocks that are going to give us the same kind of 35, 40% return over the next 20 years as it did in the past 20 years? And I think it's just downright yes. They will give the same return. And I believe that those stocks are made up of Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. And why do I believe that? And again, JR, this is going to be repetitive, so check out if you haven't already. They're the ones buying Jensen's GPUs. They're the ones who have said, this is a growth opportunity. And again, that's a word you're going to hear more and more and more from me, a growth opportunity, because that's how businesses grow. They recognize an opportunity to grow. And in order to grow, they invest money. Okay, that would be buying GPUs from Jensen? Yeah. All you've got to do is find out who are the biggest purchasers of the GPUs from Jensen. Well, just Google it, and you're going to find out Meta's up in number one, I believe, Google and Microsoft. And what are they doing with these GPUs? They're adapting them for processing AI or Gemini or Llama so that they can better market to you, better market to big business or small business. Small business is, I read this, small business makes up 75% of the growth opportunity in the United States. I think it's that. So they are going to use those GPUs and the data that they've gathered over the last 40 years to make my business more efficient and to make my life more efficient. So that's a growth opportunity. And is it going to exceed the growth opportunity of the digital revolution, as the digital revolution exceeded the growth opportunity of the industrial revolution? If I'm a betting man, I say yeah. I say that the companies that really hit the ball are going to beat the 35% return that Apple, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft have given us since 2004 to 2024. I believe between 2024 and 2044, Apple, and I'm not sure about Apple because they haven't really stepped up, but their history says I got to continue to hold it. Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. Now you're saying to yourself, well, where is NVIDIA? Why aren't you saying NVIDIA? Why aren't you saying Supermicro Computer? They've had wonderful times. They're building the infrastructure. They're building they're doing what Cisco did for the internet. They're building the infrastructure so that then Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta can come in and profit off of it. It's the same thing that happened when we built the highways. The concrete companies made money pouring concrete, but once it was done, it was ExxonMobil and Chevron and Holiday Inn and Howard Johnson's and McDonald's. Those are the people who made the money off the highways. Cisco has not yet reached its high of the dot-com bubble. And that I'm not saying that's going to happen to NVIDIA, but recognize the big money is not made in pouring concrete. It's just not. It's not made in building the infrastructure. It's selling the product, the service, the addiction. And that's what it's going to be. They're giving us ChatGPT for free. Bard was for free. Microsoft's AI is for free. But do not believe that they aren't getting you addicted to it. That I use it every day. I use it multiple times a day. I ask it questions. I was told today that I'm going to have an agent. An agent. Two guys were on CNBC who were some of or not the original, but some people from Google, and they basically told me everybody's going to have an agent. And it will be a piece of software that is built specifically for me. And my era of typing on my screen, which I do not do well, is about to come to an end. My desktop, my laptop, my phone, I will talk to it. And it will talk back to me. And I will have an agent that will help me make every decision and help me grow my business and help me improve my life from this point going on. So understand that, and understand that there are opportunities here if you understand what is about to happen, that you can become extremely wealthy, and you can move into that Jr. 1% of the world's population who is considered wealthy. That's our goal. That's our goal, to be a 1%er. Now that you know the number, you know where the finish line is. The finish line is to be a part of that 1%, not the 99% who say I'm repetitive. Okay? All right. I'm going to write the book. The book is basically going to be my white papers that I write, my thoughts. I will actually take the transcript from this video and I will give it to ChatGPT, and I will say, I call my ChatGPT Samantha. Samantha, I'm writing a book. It's called How to Invest in the Coming Wave of Artificial Intelligence. And I'd like you to take this transcript and turn it into chapter 1. That's what I'm going to do because I can't type. And I'm dyslexic, so I don't read well. I read my books on Audible, and then I get a copy of them and go through them while I'm listening to it the second time, so I comprehend it. That's my repetitive information for today, JR, who I'm sure I lost somewhere in the first 30 seconds of this video because he said, he's saying the same damn thing every time. Yeah, and I will continue to until you get it and show up for the tribe and become a part of a group of people who want to become a 1%er. Okay? That makes it pretty simple. I'll talk to you again sometime in the future. I got to spend some time doing some more research to figure out who do I invest on beyond Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. And I'll hold NVIDIA until something better comes along, because there will be a better GPU. And when it does, I'll invest in it. Have a good day.